Hi, YouTube, or whatever one viewer beside from me that's watching this. My name is Stuffy Boy, and I have no good taste in music. Except I kinda do by some people's terms, but I personally think I have shit taste, because I like everything. This is my personal, in case this video gets over 10 views somehow. I'm gonna let the audience know here, this is my personal opinion. It could vary from anybody, for anybody. I also can't speak. I have terrible acne, I can see, and I am slowly growing a beard, but it's quarantine. Yeah, this is my room. Hopefully you don't see anything disgusting, and this is probably gonna be super cringy to look back on, but I do not give a fuck. Anyway, this is my personal worst to best Pink Floyd video. God, this is bad. Honorable mention, Pink Floyd's The Delicate Sound of Thunder and Pulse. I don't know Pulse yet. I hopefully will one day. These are both live albums, and both are pretty okay. They're not what I would say Pink Floyd albums. They're just Pink Floyd live albums. Why they were sold as Pink Floyd separate albums, I have no idea. I mean, the artwork is cool. I mean, look at this. Only Pink Floyd could come up with something like this. There's also something on the back here. It's pretty cool. And if you look close enough and the glare isn't too freaking bad, you can see that there are three people standing there. I guess that supposed to mean the different members of Pink Floyd, but you never know. Anyway, moving on. At the very bottom, I decided to put 1969 for those historians out there, or for newcomers to Pink Floyd, or whoever you are, why you're watching this video, I have no goddamn clue, but that, if I remember correctly, Pink Floyd's, Delicate Sound of Thunder was 1988, and oh god, my glasses are dirty. And Pulse was 1997. Not 1997, 1995. God, this is gonna be so bad. I have no script to work off of. This is just all on the spot. So, there's like also another video where one dude left a comment that I was high. So if you couldn't tell, from the fact that I said 1969, that can mean one of two albums, and those are usually at the bottom of many Pink Floyd worst to best lists, and that's 1969's Ummagumma, their first double album to my knowledge. But who knows? I mean, obviously Delicate Sound of Thunder and Pulse are double albums, but they're both live, so they don't really count. For their first double album, you know, this is pretty unfair comparing this to The Wall, one of the greatest albums of all time. So, I'm just going to review it on its own. It's an okay album. The live stuff is pretty decent. Let's go over the different songs. Astronomy Domi, I prefer the track on, Piper at the Gates of Dawn, which I'll show off soon. Careful With That Axe, Eugene I think is better than the original, which you can find on Relics. Set Your Controls for the Heart of the Sun. I like both versions equally. And A Saucerful of Secrets. I prefer the live version, because I think the original Saucerful of Secrets is just a noisemaker tune, and I don't really like it that much. I'll get to that album soon. Now, moving on to the studio album parts. Sisyphus, written by Richard Wright. It goes in and out of noise making and a genuinely interesting tune. Like, there's some good piano work that honestly is unlike any other that I've heard. And then like part 3 and part 4 are just like, what am I listening to? It's just like bang bang dan dan, and there's random drumming in there. For those who aren't big historians, each of these songs are only written by one member of Pink Floyd. Obviously, in the background, obviously, like, each member helped with recording the songs, but for the most part, it's completely written by them. All the instrument work is completely written by them, which is an interesting idea. It's just too bad it's all way too experimental and stuff. As for Grantchester Meadows, written by Roger Waters, this is like the first instance of Roger Waters, like, wait, no, what am I saying? That would be like Such a Controls for the Heart of the Sun, or anything after Piper at the Gates of Dawn. But let's see. Oh god, terrible lighting. Just what I need. The lyrics of Grantchester Meadows. It just basically describes what I can see here is just just sitting in a nice meadow watching the bugs and birds and fish, and it's okay. It's decent. So it's an okay obscure Pink Floyd song that doesn't get as much attention. And let's move on to what many people consider the worst Pink Floyd song, ironically written by Roger Waters, even though lots of people love The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon and stuff like that. Several species of small furry animals gathered together in a cave and grooving with a pick. That's the actual name of the song, and it's just as stupid as you think it is. This song is so chaotic and experimental and weird. There's weird voiceovers that cue in out of nowhere. It's so strange and, like, crazy, and I kind of like it in a guilty pleasure sort of way. It's a bad song, but it's just so unique. I kind of love it. I think that Sisyphus is worse, even though I love Richard Wright's work. It's just a shame that this song even got on a Pink Floyd album, because why would he even bother to be on a Pink Floyd album? This should be on, like, B-roll or some shit. Here, 1 minute. It's like a pimple popping video, me scratching a scab off. This is disgusting. Why anybody would watch this, I have no goddamn clue. Sorry. And this is all staying in. I'm not editing any of this. This is all just stupid. But, fuck it. You click on the video. That isn't just me. Let's see here. Next up is The Narrow Way, written by David Gilmour. The lyrics here are decent. Again, just, sitting on a mountaintop, watching the sea, watching the birds and stuff like that. It's just nice and all this, and I think this is on part 3, and but part 1s and part 2 are just weird, like banging on instruments and stuff. Makes no sense, but it's fine. And then what I personally think is the best song out of all this, The Grand Vizier's Garden Visit, by Nick Mason. And it's a great percussion track and has a lot of different parts, different things working together, and it actually works. And and that's Amagama, the worst out of all of them. But it's not a outright terrible album. You could view it as a bad album, but a bad album and not a terrible album. Next up is 1969's More soundtrack. I've seen the movie More, and it's a decent film, especially when you know that it's Pink Floyd, like and their influence over this druggy trip about a couple slowly giving in to their heroin addictions. And the music fits in, surprisingly. There's no big music banging, well, except for Quicksilver. I think that's actually written by Richard Wright. Now I gotta look it up. Oh no, Quicksilver is actually an instrumental piece, including all the members, but it feels like a Richard Wright thing. But it doesn't really matter. Also, this is, I think, the first album that has. Wait, no, that would be Saucerful of Secrets. But yeah, it's an okay thing. There's shitty stuff like a Spanish piece, which lasts for only a couple seconds. A lot of instrumentals, shit. it really helps if you see the movie, but it's hard to find. It's free on YouTube, but it has Spanish subtitles. It's constantly playing, so just it's unlike Umaguma, where I could say check it out if you really are hardcore into Pink Floyd and you want to listen to it. It's like the truest, weirdest shit you'll ever hear. This is just an honest to God skip album. Like, you could just go past this. It's a decent album, but that's all I have to say about that. Next up is their latest album, Pink Floyd's The Endless River. I like this album. It's a nice, just mellow tune, and it's a nice tribute to rest in peace Richard Wright. Louder Than Words is a decent song. That's the only song with lyrics in it. And I know there's like other stuff that didn't make onto it. You have to buy the deluxe thing for it, but it's actually an okay album. It's just a bunch of instrumentals, but and I don't know why they released this under the Pink Floyd motto, because honestly, this could have just been like Pink Floyd the later years album that they could have been just included on that. Why this would all be put on in there, I have no idea. Next up at number 12, I have here it is. A Momentary Lapse of Reason. I like this album again. I hate how a lot of people really let loose on this album saying, oh, it's just a David Gilmour solo album, star-studded with a bunch of stuff. And it's like, the lyrics are definitely David Gilmour and a bunch of people starring in there. But there's still Nick Mason in there. Richard Wright didn't bother, even though he was rehired by the band. He didn't come in until the Division Bell. And, even though, and again, he's pictured here on the inside of the album. Yeah, so why everyone keeps on harping on this thing? I know it sounds a lot like, 1973's Dark Side of the Moon in some places, but Learning to Fly, is really decent. Turning Away. It's just, I like this album. I like it a little bit more as a guilty pleasure than a lot of other albums on this, even though these other albums are more, in technical terms, better albums. Whatever, this is all just my personal unfiltered opinion, and it's stupid. At number 11, we have A Saucerful of Secrets. I love this album. This is the first Pink Floyd, not love. There's a song on here that I love. Set the Controls for the Heart of the Sun, and Jug Band Blues, and Let There Be More Light, I think, are all amazing tunes. Why this is like right after Piper at the Gates of Dawn, and it's just amazing. But Saucerful of Secrets and a couple other songs like Corporal Clegg. Corporal Clegg is also an amazing song, but it just doesn't fit within the album. This whole album feels like a sci-fi piece until all of a sudden it just goes into Syd Barrett's, oh, let's get all wacky and stuff, and Syd Barrett isn't even credited as doing that song. He's only like Jug Band Blues was his last Pink Floyd song that he wrote. I think. I could be wrong, but yeah, I wish that it was higher, but some of the tracks just hold it back for me. At number 10, we have Pink Floyd's The Final Cut, or as I like to call it, Roger Waters' is The Final Cut, because this is basically a Roger Waters solo album, much like, I'll admit, A Momentary Lapse of Reason is David Gilmour solo album. The 80s weren't that good to Pink Floyd. This is basically like bonus tracks from The Wall, along with Roger Waters basically singing about like like a big protest album. but where The Wall works with its prog rock, and same with Dark Side of the Moon, this kind of just falls kind of short. I mean, songs like Not Now John and the Fletcher Memorial Home, I forget, When the Tigers Broke Free was in The Wall, the movie. So, and this was originally supposed to be A Wall, the soundtrack. There's even other characters that appear in this, like Pink from Pink Floyd, The Wall, and the and the school teacher. I don't think the wife or the mother show up in this, but it's an okay it's a good album technically. I just find it kind of it stands out like a sore thumb when it comes to this, but it's definitely worthy of like number 10 being above other things, because this is an album that doesn't have any weird experimental just noisemaker songs. It actually feels like Pink Floyd in a couple places, and Not Now John is the last song that Roger Waters and David Gilmour sang like together in duet, but comfortably. No, Run Like Hell will always be the last song that David Gilmour and Roger Waters wrote together. Next up is The Division Bell. I like this album. I don't love it. It's not my favorite, but I like it. It took me a while because I just found it kind of weird and stuff. But after I got used to it, Cluster 1, Marooned, and coming back to life, Keep Talking, and High Hopes were just awesome. These tracks are just great. And yeah, I mean, my opinion might change. It has multiple times on this album. Who knows? But and this should have been the last album for Pink Floyd. It really should have been. Especially with a great song like High Hopes. It's just like, while Roger Waters continues to go on and do other stuff, High Hopes is like David Gilmour, Nick Mason, and Richard Wright walking off into the distance to, with fanfare in their wake with High Hopes. It's great. And it's too bad that this wasn't a double album, because I would have loved to hear more, from this, and especially with, Richard Wright kicking in a lot more. Yeah. Next up at number 8 is Obscured by Clouds. This album is very underrated. It has amazing stuff on it, like Obscured by Clouds, obviously, Burning Bridges, What's the Deal, Mudmen, and yeah, and there's also another soundtrack. It's from another French film. It's weird and stuff, but it's also okay. I kind of hate how everyone hates on the song "The Gold." It's in the there's not even like a thing after it. It's just "The Gold" is in the but it's a rockin' tune, and I like it. It's like David Gilmour and Roger Wright and everybody and the band in general just thought, let's make a rockin' tune. Let's be like the Beatles, which they had huge inspiration from on their first album. And again, I think it's okay. I don't know why everyone kind of puts this down and stuff. And yeah, I wish it would. For me, it's higher. This is a tough one. Number 7. Damn. You know what? For me personally, number 7 is Pink Floyd's Atom Heart Mother. This is an amazing album. Atom Heart Mother, the suite is like the best parts of Noisemaker Floyd in a lot of cases, and then it goes into another solo thing, like Did on Ummagumma. If is written by Roger Waters. Summer '68 is written by Richard Wright. Fat Old Son is David Gilmour. And Alan's Psychedelic Breakfast, even though it's all four members, you can definitely hear Nick Mason's heavy influence on the song. Also, I think this goes without saying, this is the worst album cover out of all of Pink Floyd. Like, you have such great ones, like a dude swimming through the air, these ominous head figures, this, like, you're opening up an old book, and there's, like, this soldier with a gun sticking out there, and things. I could go on and on. Even Ummagumma has a better thing, because if you see here, it goes, it's like a mirror, it goes in, and if you look closely, that's Roger Waters, this is David Gilmour, and the members, they switch. I could go into Pink Floyd album covers and which one's personally my favorite. Maybe I'll do that video, but who knows. But this is personally my least favorite. It's just a cow. Like, it's just cows, and I get it. These are all, like, dairy cows, and they can be mothers, but at the same time, really? The music's really good. Give it a listen to. That's all I have to say. I mean, Adam Hart Mother is basically Noisemaker Floyd, but whatever. And then at number 6, we have Piper at the Gates of Dawn. Their first album, the peak of early Floyd, Syd Barrett in all his glory. And it's too bad that I feel like this is kind of a Syd Barrett solo album in my personal opinion, but at the same time, it's really good. It's really good. You can definitely hear some of the other band members' influence, and songs like Astronomy Domine, Lucifer Sam, Matilda Mother, Power Talk, Interstellar Overdrive, and Bike. Oh, like, there are some great... Oh, Take Up Thy Stethoscope and Walk. A lot of these tracks are great. So, yeah, it's number 6. This is my second least favorite, because even though it's a cool idea for a cover, it's just like, there's just the 4 original members. Well, technically there were 5 original members to Pink Floyd, but you can do the thing on your own, the research on your own. All right, this one is really tough. Like, the next 5 are going to be really damn tough. Damn. Which ones? Number 5, I think, is Metal. I love this album. Like, really fucking love it. This is the type of album that you put on when you're making out with a girl. One of These Days is creepy, but at the same time, really cool. It also sounds like Doctor Who. A Pillow of Winds is a Richard Wright love song. It's pretty cool. Fearless. Me and My Mother love that fucking song. San Topaz is an interesting song, although it doesn't feel too much like Pink Floyd. Seamus is just kind of out of place, but at the same time, again, it's really decent. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. And Echoes. Aside from its length, it is freaking amazing. You can, much like Dark Side of the Moon, and singing that up to, pardon me, The Wizard of Oz. When you sync up Dark Side of the Moon, The Wizard of Oz, you can sync up Echoes to the ending of 2001: A Space Odyssey, and it fits so well. Look that up on YouTube. It's an absolute trip. A lot of people are going to hate me on this, but at number 4, we have Animals. Animals is amazing. I love it. But the length, man, the length. Dogs, Pigs, and Sheep are great songs. They have a lot of good, political and societal reflections. Especially love Pigs. You can't imagine my surprise when I went up to Minnesota once and I heard Pigs, 3 different ones, being played over the radio. Like, damn, that DJ probably has some big, huge fucking testicles to play this when you could have, like, I don't know, played Time for the millionth time, pun, or any other Pink Floyd song, just so you can have more ad time, but no, you specifically chose one from this. But yeah, that's kind of the reason why this is so low for me. It's just the length. The songs are amazing, and also, this is where Roger Waters really started to take control, and it really shows because he wrote all the lyrics, but at least he was smart enough to make the song super long so each member can have their own moments. And Dogs is what I personally think is the best song on the album, because it has both David Gilmour and Roger Waters working so well off each other. So yeah. Now we have the constantly played one, the double album experience, or the title track one that everyone remembers. I don't know which one to put here, guys. I love all three of these albums. They're unrankable in my opinion. But number 3 is Wish You Were Here. I know a lot of people consider this to be like, if not the second best, the best Pink Floyd album, especially as a follow-up to Dark Side of the Moon. Shine On You Crazy Diamond, Welcome to the Machine, Have a Cigar, Wish You Were Here. Just 4 amazing fucking tracks. And Shine On You Crazy Diamond goes on for 9 parts. And it's a great, and this whole album is a great tribute to Syd Barrett. But honestly, I don't know what makes this like get eclipsed by The Wall and Dark Side of the Moon, because there are a lot of occasions where this kind of eclipses both of them. But if I had to say something, I wish there were more tracks on this. I love Shine On You Crazy Diamond, but you could have made this into a double album. You could have put more tracks on it. And now I'm repeating myself. But whatever. I still like this a lot. Alright, there are only 2 more albums left. I don't know which one to put here, guys. I honestly don't. Which one's the better one? You know what? I know everyone's gonna be like, oh, you're picking the 2 overplayed ones. Well, at least go with the double album one, so that way, Dark Side of the Moon doesn't get all the credit that it gets praised for and all that. You'll just be a normal dude. I'm sorry, guys. This isn't putting down The Wall. The Wall is an amazing fucking album. It's number 2. It's just high for a reason. Like, you can't listen to this without like going through the entire thing. In the Flesh, The Thin Ice, Another Brick in the Wall, Part 1, 2, and 3, Happiest Days of Our Lives, Mother, Goodbye Blue Sky, and if you listen to the full versions of Empty Spaces, What Shall We Do From Here, Young Lust, and that's another kind of reason I think this is held back. If you listen to What Shall We Do, or What Shall We Do From Here, or something like that, that's the full version. It enhances the experience some more. Also, watch the movie. I don't know why, when the Tigers broke free wasn't put on this album. It could have easily been fit in there. Both, this is their first double album, and second album. And I guess, like, the reason why it's also here is because this is where Roger Waters is really starting to take control before he completely takes control in the final cut. But at least there's some glimmer of hope. Hey You. Oh man, I know the spectacle of playing Hey You behind a giant wall. But if only I could have seen that amazing sight of Roger Waters on bass, David Gilmour opening the song and playing the solo with his guitar, Nick Mason's drum work, and, oh man, Richard Wright's keyboards. I think Hey You might be my favorite, might be one of my favorite Pink Floyd song, because that's where all 4 members come together, and if only I got to see all 4 members just jamming out together, that would have been amazing, but what can you do? And finally, we have the Green Hill Crop. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm stereotypical, but Dark Side of the Moon is freaking amazing. Every track on here is amazing. I'm saying amazing a lot. Speak to Me and Breathe are an amazing opener. On the Run is an amazing trippy song. Time, The Great Gig in the Sky, Money, Us and Them, Any Color You Like, Eclipse, and Brain Damage and Eclipse. It's just the best Pink Floyd album, guys. There's nothing else I can say. Just, it feels like you're not only floating through space, you're listening, you're going through an experience. This was the first Pink Floyd album I listened to, and it was just freaking amazing. Too bad it's just kind of been overplayed. It's still the best Pink Floyd album. Hell, it might be the best album of all time, but there's no buts. It's the best Pink Floyd album. So yeah, I might do Pink Floyd cover art. But this is a 30-minute video, so I'll just stop it here. Subscribe for whatever reason if you want more of this shit. Like it if you like the video. Hopefully, well, I'm gonna get demonetized either way, because I don't have any views. But whatever. I just like making videos, and I like making music. Not making music, listening to music. Anyway, I have no good taste in music.